Mhm. Well, good morning. Good morning. All right. Well, that's new. Riverside has been cooking here. That's the first time the intro has taken up the whole screen. And
It was kind of weird, man. It was a weird feeling. Why do you like to do that intro 1 minute long?
well, the idea is it kind of gives people some time to come in, so we're not just delivering the value to an empty room here. That's kind of the idea, but maybe we should do some studies on that. Maybe we should do some deep dives. And you know what I've seen other live streams actually, what they do is they start like a promo intro like 5 minutes before their live stream even starts. So let's say they're scheduled to start at 9, they start playing their reel like 5 minutes ahead of time so that when 9 hits, they're good to go. Um, but yeah, maybe we should do some studies, see what works, see what doesn't work, and make a decision off after that point. What do you I know you've always been against the long intro. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, if I understand the logic, I can say something. Right now, I don't see the logic because people are gonna get in the room once I retweet the main post from Shipguile.
That
That's
is
my
very true.
view. That's what I've seen statistically. So,
And that is very
and
true.
I always take care, by the way, of sharing that once the conversation starts to pick up, because obviously, the people who know us, they are already tuned in. But if you want to grab attention from new people, uh, you better not waste their time, right?
Mm,
So yeah.
okay. Okay. Well then yeah, let's I mean, I am actually working on the new Ship Guild intro. So whenever we have that, let's make it shorter and let's F around and we'll find out. But yeah, I'm into it, man.
Yeah, because I remember you also had already a new layout. I was waiting to see it live now.
Yes, yes. No, I was still in the works. In true Travis fashion, I like to delay things here. But yeah, the goal is like life. This is purely an excuse here, but life kind of took over this last week. But it is still being worked on, and my hope and my goal is to have it done ASAP here, which I'm very excited to share that with all you guys here as well. So we're gonna lean fully into the new Ship Guild brand, and it's gonna be a fun day. But yeah, in saying that, welcome Quantic. Welcome everyone. My name is Trav. This is Quantic, of course. Together we are Web3.
I
Together
was
we are
just waiting for that to happen, man. Just waiting, like I don't
together
know.
we are
I don't know what to say.
dude, this is like 5 years of saying Web3 matters. It's gonna probably take a bit for my brain to get out of autopilot on that one. Together we are Ship Guild, and we're really excited to be here with you guys today. Topic of our conversation today is how we use AI to find purpose. So maybe let's actually, before we dive into that, let's talk about how building has been going for you there this week, Quantic. What's been going on? What kind of work have you been putting in, and how has AI been helping you out with that?
Sure, let me give the repost here. Okay, all done. Well, this week, I'm leading the campaign and execution for a hackathon, online hackathon, Flare summer signal. The idea is to find a signal, like quite literally, I want to find the builders that are still building products during these tough market conditions and still want to do something meaningful and get users, not like just prototype MVP kind of bullshit. And I'm working towards that. The results, early results, looks interesting. We do have projects coming from other chains. We do have new people joining the Flare ecosystem, and I think this is quite, this is quite a good thing considering that all other ecosystems are either struggling or shutting down. I'm happy and proud to see Flare expanding actually, and for me, it's really meaningful to be able to be one of the driving forces of this.
That's huge. That's really cool, and congratulations on all the success you've been having with that. You know, it's man, all of the charts that you're posting showing the data and the adoption of Flare has been extremely impressive throughout the entire kind of bear cycle that we've been having here. What do you attribute this success to? Like why is Flare doing so well besides the obvious answer of you're at the helm?
Well, I think, it is not obvious that Flare is like thriving. Certainly is among the top ecosystems right now, considering market conditions. But it's not like Solana or Base, which are gigantic ecosystems, and they always have like tons of things going on there. In the case of Flare, is mostly because we have been focused on something that people want, which is yield on asset that do not have yield natively, meaning XRP and then soon Bitcoin as well.
Brilliant. No, that's really cool. And my last question for you there, Quantic, is what sort of projects are you seeing come out from this hackathon? Like what are people building?
So I'm seeing projects based mostly on interoperability and privacy, which makes sense because those are the two tracks. Um, and we are seeing something that is going to connect with Hyperliquid. I think that's going to be very interesting because you have a bunch of DeFi operations that you can do cross chain that people are not even aware in terms of strategies, mostly because nobody has even built the technical infrastructure and solutions needed. So right now we're going to start seeing that. Flare already has provided some of that, and that's one of the main reasons of the current success. But there is so much more that you can do.
That's unreal. Okay, and here's I keep on having these questions here because first of all, I actually one thing about this conversation that I'm really excited about right now is that I've actually seen DeFi make a bit more of a resurgence on the timeline. Like I know there was the DeFi summer several cycles ago or several years ago now, and since then it's kind of been overshadowed by obviously the meme token craze, now like the Pokemon TCG thing, but it is seemingly coming back, and I'm really excited about that here. So maybe my question for you is, well, what was my question for you? It was like, okay, I want to ask you maybe about Hyperliquid first. So what sort of mechanisms are you hoping to be able to leverage through Hyperliquid on
Sure.
on Flare?
It's actually not that complicated to explain because you have XRP that has a bunch of idle liquidity, and then you have Hyperliquid that has, arguably the most active decentralized exchange on the planet, right? And markets 24/7, tons of liquidity, tons of volume, tons of trading. So bring that liquidity there and use Flare to do that, and also go to other chains and combine strategies in which you can move liquidity across chains, have arbitrage opportunities, find the best yield
Mm.
opportunities for your users, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's huge. That's really exciting. Actually, I'll confess I haven't messed around on Hyperliquid yet, but I hear it's pretty phenomenal here. So no, that's really cool. That's really exciting here, and I really hope that this trend kind of keeps moving forward with the whole DeFi scene. I know that's kind of one of the things about the blockchain and Web3 that attracted it to me in the first place is the fact that it evens the playing field when it comes to like yield opportunities, wealth generating opportunities here, and that's really cool to see that it's taken off. So congratulations. Definitely keep us informed here. I think maybe one good thing that would be great to be able to get back into is to be able to share with our community cool new opportunities in DeFi. Because I know that's something that we used to do quite a bit way back when here. And if that's going to be something that will actually help people, I'm fully into it. So yeah,
Yeah,
let's
absolutely. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that, mostly because for you to say, yeah, I'm doing something on DeFi, you have to actually be there on chain and do it, right? It's not
yeah.
like or bring the relevant people to do it. On my case, I'm extremely boring right now with my investments, mostly because I think we are on an AI bubble that is going
Mhm.
to burst at some point. So, I don't want to be on all these protocols. I have very few selected ones with very few selected assets in which I participate, but the rest, I just don't touch anything. And I think there is a lot of people that are kind of on my side these days, precisely because of the hacks and because of these concerns about an AI bubble that is definitely here.
Yeah, and that's pretty clear to see here. So there's a couple we're at a bit of a crossroads here. I do think talking about that AI bubble could be an interesting topic of conversation. Perhaps maybe we should dedicate a a good chunk of a stream to it. Because I know this is something that certainly there are implications to anyone who's using AI and then even investing, because that's going to affect the entire money cycle, in stocks, in crypto, all of these different things here. But yeah, no, maybe in order to kind of stay true to the topic of conversation, we'll hold off and talk about that later. But if that's something you guys want to hear about or you have any opinions, definitely let us know. Give this post or give our live stream a repost here, and feel free to engage in the chat. We're definitely keeping our eyes on that here. Let us know what you think. Is this AI bubble coming? Is it here? What's going to happen when everything pops? Are we cooked? Are we not cooked? All right. Maybe I'll quickly. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I just think that for the AI bubble discussion, we would need to bring more of an expert on the economic side of things.
I think it's a great idea. And actually, yeah, that's something that I think would be worth our time. Not even just, excuse me, not even just for talking about the AI bubble, but just in general, bringing more experts on. I would love to get back to that as well here. But I honestly, I do think that would be a very important topic to like thoroughly cover, with an expert here. And you know what? I'm gonna take myself a note right now, and we'll track one down. But if you guys know any experts here who might be able to shed some light on all that stuff that's happening, let us know as well. We'd love to try and make some connections and get them on here for you. AI bubble. Perfect, perfect. Well, to share on my end here, it's been a pretty an AI intensive week. I've really been leaning into Hermes here. Fable 5 is back, so that's worth celebrating here. I have not I have not messed around with Fable 5 just because it is quite expensive right now, and I want to try to get the best bang for my buck. So I've mostly been using 4 or Opus 8, I believe it is. And yeah, I actually undertook my first big project on coding, which is making my new portfolio website, and that's been interesting because my previous website that I had, it was with Card, and it was just getting to the point where it was just crap. Yeah, you know this,
Yeah.
Quantic. It was taking like literally 60 seconds or more just to load the page. All of the videos were unaligned, and it was just like if you want trying to make a good impression and a fast impression on prospective clients or partners, it just wasn't cutting it anymore. So I'm pretty excited to share that I did not even well, I was gonna say I didn't come close to doing a one shot prompt, but the first prompt that I put into Hermes using Claude was pretty cool. Can I show you my, actually, this is my second prompt, but would you be interested to see the website so far?
Yeah, let's take a look at it and let's put a deadline. Let's do something more interesting, which is put a deadline to have this out there because in Trav this can take 5 months, and I really want to help you. And I think one way to help you is like just ship it. Probably it's already good. look, this is much better than the other crap that you
Oh
had
my
before,
goodness.
Trav.
100%. It's leaps and bounds here. It's so much better. Here's the promo
I,
reel. The cool thing about
you
this
have a
one is
handsy
that
guy there.
honestly, you're front row and center. It's looking good there. Up here, top clip. We got Victor here as well. But this is looking much better. I've actually instead of having so the previous way that I did it is I had a Google Drive set up with all of my videos and then had the embedded link. So it actually stored the videos on in my Google Drive and had to fetch them, which is why everything slowed down and which is why it looked like crap. But this one here, I've actually uploaded all of the videos directly onto the website. So it's there's I think almost 2 gigs worth of videos here, but like the playback is super
I mean,
smooth
finding pain points and
and
finding
it's
a
like
solution.
instant as well, which is really
So my
cool.
name's Kobe Bean. I'm
It's yeah, no, it's much much better. And the one thing I'm still needing to do is making sure all the links work out here. But it basically it's done so much already and it looks so much better here. But yeah, no, I'm really excited. The one other thing that I really want to do, Quantic, and I'm really excited about this, is to put a nice background in it, one of those ones where when you scroll down, the background animates a certain way. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what to do here, but I think there's a
Would
good
say
idea
for a
cooking.
landing page, probably that's not, necessary, but up to you. Like, what is your strategy? Actually, let's talk about that. What is you're doing this because you want to get more clients, right?
Yes. Ideally, I'd
Okay.
like to get just like a steady client, be on retainer, get paid, like have not have to like chase new clients down, not have to keep hunting for new clients every month. That would be my ideal situation. But right now, yes, just I wanna work. I've got these skills. I'm ready to put it to good use, and I just wanna work.
I hear you. And what is your strategy like in terms of like the website? Okay, I can go there and I can see what you have done, right?
Yes.
Um, is that it?
No, no, I've actually been I also made another agent, to scrape for job postings in my field. I've got it to be very specific on, my qualifications, what I'm looking for. Not it's not even just video editing, but social media management and growth as well. From all of the experience I've been able to develop through working with Ship Guilds, kind of growing our accounts and things like that. So I've been throwing out just tons of applications here, and this was kind of the weakest link of that workflow, having that
Let
solid
me
landing
let me
page.
ask a few things in this regard, which is, am I supposed to know about this other social media stuff that you're saying on this website or other place?
That would be in, the resume. The resume, yes. Um, that's a good question, though.
I
That's
mean, let me tell you a few things that I think are kind of audit proof for you to then implement.
please do.
One is that, okay, if you're going to be the guy that is going to create videos, then your website should be like an insane, thing visually that I'm going to say, oh, this guy really is my Netflix guy for all the videos in my life from now on, right?
Yeah.
Um, then if you want to go into a different direction, which I think for what you shared sounds reasonable, is like, look, I do videos professionally. Here are all the receipts, right? All what I can see in front of the screen right now. And but then I can drive growth, which I personally believe as an entrepreneur, I'm gonna find 10x more interesting, which is okay, this guy
Mhm.
can do videos, but also has something that most people don't have, which is experience on social media growing channels. So I would like to see the receipts of that. I would like to see what the fuck are you doing with Chipgal? How exactly have you grown that? Some numbers, some samples, things like that. And something that describes, okay, I do this video thing. I'm a professional and I can do blah, 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 blah. But on top of that, I can bring you eyes, right? I can bring you growth. I can bring you
Mhm.
professional services for social media management and all that.
That's awesome. That's a really good call. And actually, I think you just gave me an idea of what to plug in right here. Is maybe there's a way I could add in receipts for social media growth that we've
Yeah,
been able to accomplish.
I think all the things that we did with Web3 Matters, you could easily go and handpick a few spaces, live streams, or even results that you're driving now, right? In terms of YouTube growth and TikTok growth, and use that.
That's a wonderful idea. Taking notes here as well. Let's see here. Social media receipts. Man, on point. And I hope you guys, our viewers here, are gaining something from this because I know a good number of our viewers, of our community members are in a very similar boat. And this is something that I've discovered over the last week as well, Quantic, because the third thing that I've been using AI for has been to audit my account. And maybe this would be a good way to talk about it as well, or something good to talk about as well. I've been auditing my X account and trying to really hone in my social media growth strategy on X because this has been a constant theme throughout the last year almost is my I've been stuck at this 200 view plateau and I have my reach, my numbers, my engagement has gone in the toilet. And
Right.
finally this last week I've been putting in the work to figure out what the heck is going on. And part of the solution to that has been really doing the research into who's following me, what are their interests, what are they engaging with, what are some of their pain points, aka your pain points. And this is something that I've come to realize is that, growth and engagement and viewership is something that's very important to our community here. And saying all that to kind of wrap up the last topic of conversation, this is why I think what we have just been chatting about is so important to our viewers right now because, we're all here because we want to grow. So, in saying that, where would you like to kind of bring this conversation next there, Quantic? Do you want to talk about some of the findings of, how to audit your X account, or should we maybe let's touch on real quick the topic of with the conversation is finding purpose, and then we can pull these other ideas into it. What do you
Yes,
think
I
about
think
that?
that would make sense
Mhm.
because I realized when we published this and I saw it on social media, for context, guys, for those that are watching, the way we operate is like we have our Monday call, we kind of get on in sync and we get with the topic aligned and all that, right? And then I saw the post about finding purpose with AI, and I was like, what are we talking about here? And I think it was more like using it to find focus or something along those ways. And the context was, if and correct me if I'm wrong here, Trav, is like we arrived to the conclusion that one of the things that is pulling us in different directions is that we have a different view on how to attain growth, right? As we build ShipGal, um, we have arrived to two separate scenarios. One is the one that we have been practicing so far and that you propose and advocate, which is essentially you grow your personal account. You do not even need to talk about ShipGuile. And then because you grow your personal account, people will eventually find their way through the funnel, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, this is completely nuts. I used to believe something like that could work, but I don't think that any longer. What I think you should do in 2026 is if you believe in something, if you are building something, then your entire persona has to be around that and drive the growth towards that. And that's how you will grow your account. So it's the opposite approach. Um, which I know people can have, a different opinion and whatnot. But then we were like, you know what? The only way we're gonna find this out is by performing experiments, and that's where the AI comes in, and that's why this was called using AI to find purpose, right? Which is actually using AI more to find direction and focus. Um, but let me know, Trav, up until here, did I summarize most of our recent findings in a correct way?
You did, yeah. The only other thing that I'll share on that is, um, kind of one other perspective from my point of view on you know, and I think this mostly. Sorry, I'm going all over the place here. One more perspective on my point of view coming into this experiment here is that, um, for X, I agree with you. I think it's very important to, um, kind of like fully encompass the work that you're doing and really spend time, you know, positioning yourself as the expert in your field so that you can build trust. So then that funnel just becomes more natural right away here. And I think part of that is that, X is our native platform. This is the platform where we kind of begun our growth. We've already developed our communities here. And I think that just makes a lot of sense, especially for a lot of the research that I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. In particular, the concept of founder forward projects, that being the face of the work that you're doing and developing that relationship with the community first, um, through your expertise and then guiding them towards your product here and your services. Um, I think the whole idea that I'm proposing of gaining attention and then leading towards like being more vocal about your work is primarily for, our growth on YouTube and TikTok, which we were basically building from scratch here. We don't really have the communities. Like I know on TikTok we're about 175 followers. On YouTube we're about 194 followers here. And my theory about that is that, and again, this is something that I am very happy to be wrong about, but starting the strategy should be start with trying to build attention, starting to kind of build that growth. And from my experience so far, the videos that perform the best, the videos that, translate viewers to subscribers the most are ones where we're not specifically talking about our work. So that's kind of the idea is start off by getting ourselves out there, by being a bit more infotaining as opposed to talking about like automatically becoming the expert, or striving to become the expert. And then as we develop more reach, as we, um, get more eyes on us, then we can start translating to, you know being more focused on our work, if that makes sense.
Um, I I mean, we can perform the experiments and look at the data. I think that that's
Yeah.
the thing that is gonna change everything. And I do agree that you can create content, infotaining, whatever that is, and you can drive a lot of eyes. And probably it can be nice to have that when you're just starting to build an account on YouTube or TikTok. However, that takes your energy, focus, and time into trying to tap into what are people talking about instead of focusing on what should I really be doing and talking about. And
Solid
again,
point.
I'm gonna come back to this point, which is like at our stage of growth, um, there is no other way you're gonna grow unless you have something that you know that the rest do not know, and you're a top tier on something, and you lean into that as hard as possible and show the receipts, which is something that I've been bringing back time after time, which is
Yes.
like, I don't know, dude, you're telling me you can help me grow your social media. how much are you growing? Like you have 100 likes. You think that that's enough? Like I don't know. Like I think that that's a dangerous game to play.
That makes a ton of sense. That makes a ton of sense here. It Yeah, that idea of receipts is really important if that's how you're going to position yourself here. And right, that's an interesting point here as well. What are we going to get the most, like what's going to be the best bang for our buck, if that makes
Yeah,
sense? Like, do we just go all in on X? Is it worth still putting that valuable time and energy into, like, putting, like, maybe not is it, because I think it is, but how much time and energy do we put into growing YouTube and TikTok? Like, is that going to convert for us? Like, regardless of how much time and energy we put into it, it's gonna take months, potentially a year at least, until we, really take off on either of those platforms. It is a slow grind regardless. And even if we, put that extra time and energy into curating videos more like closely, it's still gonna take time. Meanwhile, here on X, we have established communities. Putting a bit more effort into kind of regaining my reach back on X might only take a month of consistent effort. Um, so yeah, like there's that whole thing as well here. So I think that's a really good point as well, is really focus in on your strengths, really focus in on the cost benefit analysis of any direction you want to go in. And I mean, for us, we've been building now for 5 years. I think we are very much in a good position to actually make something of it. And we have all the tools that we need. So let's just go.
exactly. Here's the point in which this AI for finding purpose becomes relevant because at one time you have your agent now and you're like, oh, I can do all of this stuff that I couldn't do before, and it's much faster, much more efficient. But if you're then going to spend that time and energy focusing on things that are not going to bring you the results that you're trying to achieve, then it's just a waste of time, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a ton of sense, man. That makes a ton of sense here.
So
Yeah.
you see how you can now start linking things. Okay, you are building your website, which you know is going to be critical for you to land clients, essentially, right?
Correct.
Okay, you're using AI for that. Then you have this other thing that you're doing here with ChipGal, for which you're also using AI for a bunch of things, right? But it was disconnected. Now you can find it in a way that is connected, right? Uh,
Mhm.
you want to show that you can grow on social media. You want to show that you can drive growth. You can use what you are doing with ChipGal and what you have learned so far of going into these other platforms as well. Um, so, I think it's up to you how you want to spend your time, energy, and focus, and that's a personal choice for all of us. But I do think that there is an easy way in which you can use AI again to find focus and direction, and that is using it for an external audit. Have you ever done that?
An
I think you
external
have.
audit.
Yeah.
Like, maybe can you expand on that? Like, what would an external audit look like?
Oh yeah, an internal audit is like you going into your channels of social media on X, on YouTube, and and saying, yeah, this is working, this is not working. I look at the data. This seems to be the best time for posting. This is the type of post that works the most. And then say, yeah, you know what, I should go into this direction or whatever, right?
Mhm.
um and perform and probably you're using AI there as well, right, in terms of sharing some of the data, and analyzing things and whatnot. An external audit in this sense would be to spin up a completely independent agent whose job is going to be audit your growth on all social media accounts,
Mhm.
find what is broken, find what is not fitting correctly in your persona, in your brand, and how to fix that, and ask you the hard questions, because bottom line, all of this comes down to alignment, right? Meaning,
Mhm.
you're spending time on ShipGuide, you're spending time on building your brand. What is it really what you want to do? Perhaps you just want to have a normal job and call it a day, for which you probably don't need much of this up until you land the job, right? But that's, again, that's a personal thing, and perhaps with an external audit you can find some of that direction as well. um, I've done it for myself, so I know how things look like, because it's very hard for me. I'm very busy with the things that I'm building, and I'm posting about it, and that's it. I don't have any big strategy or
Mhm.
whatever. I'm just working, man, and I'm just, using social media to document part of that. But I do know now, because of these external audits, how it looks like from the outside. And
Mhm.
I think that that brings you a lot of awareness and self-awareness that I just didn't have at the time.
Oh, that's brilliant. I think the idea of doing an external audit is going to be the next step here. Actually, it's um I hadn't labeled it as an external audit, but I think that's where I was getting. I've spent a lot of time posting this week about internal audits that I've done specifically on X, and that point you made about the hard questions that X will ask you. I actually had an experience of being asked and a hard question and having to make a hard decision. And let me tell you about it actually, because this was really interesting, and I think this is going to show the value of doing these audits to our audience here right now. So essentially, when I was doing my internal audit, the strategy that I was using here was, first of all, I needed to gain access to my X data, and I wanted to use Hermes to do that, but the only way for Hermes to gain access to my X data was either me feeding it my credentials so that it could log in and do it, which I didn't feel comfortable with, but maybe we could talk about the safety concerns of that in a minute here, Quantic. Or it could go to its internal browser, search Travsol, and do an audit that way. However, when you search from a non-logged in account, it only showed Grok, sorry, it only showed Hermes my posts from 2023. So those really weren't relevant to, the content that I was creating now. So essentially, without logging in, Hermes was kind of set aside. It didn't work for this internal audit. So what I did was, I have a premium subscription on X, so I have access to Grok, and Grok does have access to all my content in a very organized and linear way. But when I asked Grok to give me a summary of my content for the past 2 months, it focused only on replies and it focused only on falsely inflated content of mine personally. And that wasn't going to help me out either. So, long story short, I used Claude to come up with an awesome prompt, which I do have available for anyone who's interested, and I can pull it up on screen here if you guys are interested here. Essentially, what it cut through all the bullshit and it found the last 2 months worth of content that actually mattered, and we analyzed that. Skipping ahead, that's the first most like very important point I just want to cover, just because it's not as easy as asking your LLM, audit my account. It really isn't, because you can get confidently false answers in that here. The big decision, the big tough question came when we went to talking about my niche. And first of all, Claude asked me, what sort of things do you talk about? And I told it, growing your content or growing your online presence on social media, video editing, and then AI building, and I think also, sub niche of like talking about crypto here and there. So in order to kind of dig into, my following, my audience, we searched through Grok using another targeted strategic prompt of, who else is interested in these four things? And there was nobody that really fulfilled all of those niches at once. So the tough question comes down to, so what are we going to do about this? And the big thing was get rid of the deep get rid of the focus on video editing so that you can then I'm just going to be more effective, and by focusing on my content, focusing on my niche, on building an AI, growing your presence on social media, and then the odd crypto conversation here. That's just going to be a lot more effective. And that one was tough for me to. It was a tough pill to swallow because I love video editing, and I enjoyed talking about it. But it actually wasn't serving me. That actually was a huge part about why my reach had been so nerfed, was because there was just nobody, there was no one really cared in the audience that I was building, if that makes sense.
Okay, a couple of things there. Amazing points. I hope that people that are watching this are paying attention because this is value that you don't find on most platforms. So if you're watching this, please give a repost or whatever. We are live on Chipgal on everywhere. Okay, now that I said the disclaimers. So if I understood correctly, the agent told you that you shouldn't post much more about editing, right?
Correct.
I would 100% challenge that. And I would say
Oh,
the way you're framing your work with video editing makes it completely irrelevant. And clip this part.
okay.
Why? Let me explain why. I don't know much about video editing. I do have to create videos. I actually have a YouTube channel that has a performance that is crazy. I have only 9 videos and almost 600 followers, which is this is a crazy result, right? And I honestly have the support from the Flare community, and that's why that channel has grown. But I'm not like a super very good video editor. I can do basic stuff and it works for me, and I'm very practical about it, and I'm very conscious about it, so it's all good. I know that I'm not gonna present myself ever as a expert when it comes to creating videos. Now, would I like to learn from this topic more? Absolutely yes. What I would do is I would not buy another fancy camera. I would not do any long curves or whatever. I would just, use AI to figure that out. But I just don't know much about that in terms of I don't know the main platforms, I don't know the main creators. So I just don't do much about it. Now, going back to you, Trav, you're an expert on video editing, and you are now learning about AI. However, if I scroll down your account, all the videos or video related stuff that you are sharing is mostly kind of about you and about your journey, which I
Mm.
respect and appreciate so much. But honestly, from the point of view of a viewer that wants to consume useful content about creating videos with AI, it's just not helpful.
That makes
So
sense.
so it's all is about like how you frame things, right, rather
Mhm.
than just the topic. However, I do understand AI reaching to that conclusion based on the metrics. I can give you broader context because I know you for years and I know about social media as well and all of that, right? And I have experience creating content, which I don't think all these agents are experts. But anyways, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense. So just be, instead of cutting it completely, link it back to growing your social media and building with AI. If that, make it more instructive. Is that
I
kind of what you're saying?
I think it's two sides. First, really decide what you want to do because if you're gonna do, for instance, the infotainment thing that we were doing a few episodes back, I just couldn't tolerate it. Like I couldn't do it. I don't care about that, right? So
Yeah.
I just don't have nothing to add there. I'm not really interested. So it's like I can do it a couple of times to try and test the waters, but I cannot do that long term. So the first step is figure out something that you can do long term with no external big incentives whatsoever. You're
Mhm.
just doing it because you like it or you believe in it strongly, whatever, right? I think that that's the first step that most creators actually never take. Why? Because they want the success. I want to get the views. I want to get the followers. I want to sell whatever, right? But that comes after.
Mhm.
First, you need to find those strong alignment, internal alignment, and internal focus to then start creating things that you're going to do no matter what. Now, about the second point, okay, how do I frame that and what do I create? That has to be something that first you have to decide, like I've said many times, if you're going to entertain or educate. I would 100 personally go for educate because there is a massive gap on anything related to AI right now. Um, so you have that as well, and then do that consistently and connect everything to that. And I'm going to use myself as an example here. If you go to my bio on X, you will see a bunch of names actually. I have Flare, I have Flare the Puff, I have Shipguile, and I have Proofrails.
Mhm.
But all these things have one thing in common in my persona and in my brand, which is the builder's perspective, the builder's focus. I genuinely don't care about anything else other than people building and shipping stuff, whatever that is. If it's on the institutional side, you have proof rails and we can work together and we can do something cool about it. If you're more on the crypto consumer community type of things, we have this thing going on with ShipGal, which I think has massive potential. If you're on Flare, I'm gonna help you as much as I can, right? And if you're on other ecosystems or you just like to talk about cool tech, I'm also going to be willing to do that. But I don't move from there. So, and even if Shipgal or Proofrails are posting things that are not related to that, I will engage, I will support, but I'm not gonna bring it as my main thing of my content.
Right.
Does that make sense?
100% that makes sense. 100% that makes sense. And I think it comes back to that idea of really kind of nailing down my focus even more and then sticking to it. And once I have it as focused as it has to be, the content's going to come easy. Because right now it's kind of divided between a whole bunch of different things. Like I want to entertain, I want to educate, I want to share about my personal journey. Like if I can, and that spreads me quite thin, and then is it doesn't show that consistency to the audience that I'm trying to build here. Like one post may gain the attention of one cluster of audience members. Another post may attract another cluster of audience members of followers, but that never really gives one specific cluster of followers that opportunity to really latch in and really start to grow and develop and create those relationships that you need to grow your account. If I can just really nail that focus, that purpose, back to the topic of our conversation today, that is what's going to make everything a heck of a lot more efficient. Efficient in terms of growth, efficient in terms of creating that content and having that vision for ideating and actually executing on things here. Now it's just a matter of making that decision. Like what's it going to be? And I liked your example as well. Your focus is very specifically building, shipping, and everything that kind of entails here. I have to kind of figure out what mine's going to be. And I think
Yeah,
that's
and this is where AI comes into a more useful perspective, which is, you can use it for perform an external audit, and don't ask it to be nice, don't ask it to tell you what's nice and beautiful. Ask all the bad things, all the weak points. Like the other day I used a phrase that actually worked a lot for me, which is please open my eyes in regards to whatever. Like
mm,
open my eyes in regards to proofreads. I'm struggling, and it was like very harsh on what am I failing, what I would need to improve, and blah blah blah. And it was like the best feedback I've ever gotten from AI in regards to that. So I think that that's a very powerful use of AI to find direction and focus. Obviously, you can also talk with people, but people are gonna be more of a yes man, mostly because they want to be nice. It's not
Yeah.
like they want to be harsh with you. Probably, I'm a little bit too harsh with the people around me sometimes, and I need to deal with that. Um, but the other thing that you can do is ask the AI to ask you the questions that you need to answer in
Mhm.
order to find that direction and focus. Because it is the exercise of self awareness, of purpose, and of focus. It can be very difficult for some people, right? Some people have that gift, like Elon Musk, which is like, what, we're gonna ship these fucking rockets to the moon, whatever, and he doesn't stop until that's done, and it can take days, weeks, months, whatever. He just goes after that, and nothing else matters, right, to
Mhm.
him and on that word. There is people like that, very few, but the vast majority of people, they might not have all the answers, or not be like fully convinced about things. So you need to have an honest conversation with yourself, and if you don't have the right questions that you should sit down and answer, you can ask the AI to help you with that.
That makes a ton of sense here. And actually this is helpful because I think intuitively I knew I just never took the time to be honest with myself, but I knew I was kind of too all over the place and I needed to kind of harness the focus. I was kind of making content more kind of based on what I was feeling or what I was thinking in a day, as opposed to taking that time, having those conversations with AI, with you on what should I really be focusing on here to get the best ROI? Like, what are my actual goals? What do I want to accomplish? Where do I want to go with all of this stuff? What's the purpose? And I'm glad that we're having this conversation here today because it's pretty clear in my mind. Now that we are putting more effort and time into growing, my time is becoming more valuable. And I want to use this time as most effectively as possible. And that's gonna be the only way to scale, is if I am
Exactly.
effective with my time.
Exactly. That's the only way. So let's go back to this example. For
Mhm.
instance, okay, we're talking about growing on social media. I think that that's kind of very ingrained in our work, and very clear that whatever we do, it's kind of something that must keep happening, right?
Yeah.
Mostly because we both know all the opportunities that we have created for ourselves through that, right? And that we continue to create. So how do we scale that further? I think it's something that is always going to be present. And then I think you can do that your main uh, one of your main focus, right? Like obsessed with growth on social media, and using what I know, my special thing, which in your case it seems to be related to video creation and editing, and this live stream as well. I think this is very unique in terms of a skill set. Um, and in my case would be like the community builder, and that kind of angle.
Mhm.
So then it's clear, right? You're growing on YouTube, on TikTok, on X. You're documenting that, and how you're doing that. You're using the thing that you have at hand, the thing that you like to do, which is the video editing. If that's the case, I'm not again. I don't want to put any pressure on you, or whatever. But I'm growing for doing this thing of building in public, attracting people who likes to build, attracting people who are interested in tech, in blockchain, in AI. And I'm not going to stop doing that. And perhaps it's a very slow, bad way to grow on social media, but that is aligned with me, and I can keep doing it regardless of whatever happens, right?
Mhm.
Um, so that's how I find my alignment with my goals, and then I accept, okay, I'm not gonna grow as fast as a meme coin chiller on a meme coin season. That's granted, right? But I'm gonna be here for the long term. I'm gonna take care of my reputation, and it's going to be known for the work that I'm doing with developer communities, and with people who want to build, with vibe coders, with experienced software engineers, whoever who wants to build, I'm there. I'm happy to participate. I'm happy to collaborate. And it's always going to be that way. And I don't know, what would you say? Do you have an answer to that right now, in terms of what is the thing for you?
Yeah, I think it's growing and building on social media. I think of all the things that really hits my focus, hits most of the work that I'm actually doing. And it encompasses video editing, it encompasses SEO research, it encompasses auditing accounts, it encompasses doing those deep dive research into audience pain points, all these different things. And it really makes it a lot more clear on what I can actually be talking about. Today I learned a bunch of new trending video editing tips. Or today I learned that keywords don't matter as much as I thought that they did. And like I can definitely see that being more interesting to my audience and a heck of a lot more consistent. It gives an audience a reason to want to tune in every day and
Exactly.
actually read that content here, as opposed to what I've been doing, which is getting closer to that. It's getting a bit more focused to that. But now that's mostly been by accident. I think
Yeah. Okay.
having it crystal clear in my brain, that's going to make everything come naturally. And it's going to make it clear, what I should put in my bio, what I should focus, like how I should actually focus on the language that I'm using. It's just gonna make things much, much more clear. So
Exactly,
I
because
I'm
if you
ex
know that your goal is growing on social media, then you know what to talk, how to talk, and then how to connect the pieces. Again, you know how to connect your unique skill, regarding video editing for that purpose. You know how to connect with your work at ShipGal with that purpose. Which, by the way, I'm very happy that you want to do that, because it's very useful for ShipGal. But anyways, and then you can connect with AI for that as well. Like,
yeah.
you don't have to post about building your first AI agent. You can post about how you use it AI for the first time, your first AI agent, to help you with something related to growth on social media, and what
Mm,
were the
there it
results
is.
before
There
and
it is.
after, right?
Yes. It's all about the packaging is just as even if the packaging of the content is either just as important or even more so more important than the lessons being delivered on like because like and here's my argument for that. The framing it the way that I did is I built my first agent, I built my first Hermes agent. That's not like I've built my audience on things other than building with AI. I've like most of my audience already is crypto related stuff and growth, social media growth. So if I were to have packaged that, I grew my followers by 10% in a day from using AI. That's going to actually land those eyeballs and then get those metrics. And then the same value is going to be there one way or another, but this is actually going to be consumed. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes a
This
ton
was
of sense.
amazing,
Oop,
Trav,
just
because it's like a live coaching, self-coaching session here. Let's do something, Trav, because I want to be very concrete for the people that are watching, to help us accountable and then see the results, right? It's not like we're sitting here talking shit to entertain you. We want to do something about it, right? What are we going to do? Let's do a challenge. I don't know. You want to
yes.
do it for you can do it for your personal account, for the ShipGill account. You can do it on YouTube, on TikTok, but let's do a challenge to see how you put that energy now into that direction, and how it actually works in practice.
Great
So we
call.
can keep track. We can do it like a 2 week challenge, right? So we do from today, we set up the challenge. Then on next Friday, we present the results as part of our live streams. It doesn't have to take the entire episode. And then we improve from there. We do a live session. I'll provide some directions. I'll perform some experiments on my end as well, to bring the receipts. And then the second week, we see if there is any difference. And then we will have a bunch of content focused hyper focus on the thing that you actually care, and we will actually be able to track the results from starting from today and the constraints, right?
I love it. Okay, yeah, let's do that. So it's going to be refocusing my personal account, um, and like basically reframing all the content that I make to growing in social media. Um, and yeah, so I'm going to be consistent over the next week. I'm actually going to polish up my actual profile, my bio, and then for the next week, be consistent with posting with that framing, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I already have a bunch of ideas popping in my brain here, and yeah, I'm feeling hopeful. I think it's going to go really well. So, well, how
I
does is that
think
clear
so
enough?
too. Yeah, so next week I'm going to do the following thing. I'm gonna scroll down live on over your profile, and we're gonna
Okay.
see with the data what's working, what's not working, and if it actually makes sense to conclude anything. Because also, let's be honest, just 1 week to perform any experiment on social media, it can be tricky. You can perform A/B testing during that
Mhm.
time for sure, but you have to be very specific about the conditions. But anyway,
Yep.
let's keep it like it is. I think it's a wonderful idea, and next week we can, audit your account from where it is today.
Perfect. That sounds good. Let's do that. And I'm actually going to start, and this is hopefully this will be helpful for our viewers here, especially anyone who also runs their own live streams. But even if you don't, you have with AI, it's so easy to be able to do this for our live stream, other people's live streams, YouTube videos. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the transcript from this video here, plug it into my one of my agents here, get it to summarize all the things that we've spoken about, and then help me actually create a plan to reframe my content for the next week here as well. But then also take a whole bunch of what I want to do here. One of the things that I'm really excited to do is take the transcript from this live stream and make 10 posts that would fit that framing and share it throughout the next week as well here. I think that's a great kind of foundation to lay.
And then ask for support in the sense that we have the ShipGal community. We have our own social media manager. He's waiting for our instructions each week on how to execute. You can now
Mhm.
start building narratives, which is another thing that I do all the time, which is like when I'm building and I'm starting, for instance, for this hackathon thing, I went full in into that, right? But the accounts related to me, they all supported that, and they all helped me create this narrative that we're building on the summer on Flare and blah blah blah. And of course, it
Mhm.
works if everyone is talking the same thing with a strong angle, right? And you can do the same for your growth as well with the ShipCal with the idea of growing on social media. Everyone wants to grow on social media, so it's a great idea.
Yeah. Perfect. No, that's great. I will absolutely be doing that. It's just a matter of getting strategic, coming up with a plan, and then sticking to the plan here. That's awesome. Yeah, this has been a stellar live stream there, Quantic. I'm really grateful that we dedicated this using myself as a case study here. And I think any of our viewers, if you guys are just tuning in now or if you're tuning in late, definitely this one's worth going back on because I think if you're really serious about wanting to grow on social media, and my gut tells me that you are because you are currently on social media here listening to our live stream, definitely worth going back and giving this a read. Also, make sure to follow us on X or whatever platform you're following, because over the next week, prepare for a ton of good content on exactly how to grow on social media with AI, without AI, with all these different things here. And yeah, I think that's a great way to end this off here. Any final thoughts here, Quantic?
Take action. But this is not only for you, this is for
Yes.
everyone who's watching and now thinking about getting started. Just don't think, please act.
Yep. Action over consumption. And I know that's tough because it's very easy to consume, but all the power you need is in your hands. Just make the right decision here. Perfect. Everyone, it's been a blast. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today. Once again, make sure to follow Shipyard. I almost said Web3 Matters. I didn't, though. I said, yeah, anyways. Definitely follow Shipyard on X, on all of our other socials, wherever you may be here. And oh, last thing, if you guys want to get a concise summary of all of the solid pieces of advice from today's live stream, definitely follow our newsletter. I'm going to be putting together a very concise, very easy read of all of the strategies that we've covered today. And to access our newsletter, head over to Shipyard on X, go to our link tree, and there's a subscription button right there. It'll go straight to your inbox. And that's it. That's it. By the way, Quant, did you see our last newsletter by chance?
The last newsletter, let me see it in here right away.
I shortened it by about 50%, and I thought you'd be proud.
Wait a minute, something is going on. Oh, growth bites. We're still calling it growth bites, right?
Yeah, but that's something we should probably talk about. Yeah, no, we should discuss that. Should we update?
Oh wait, so your last I just want to ensure because I had some issues with the newsletter this week. The last version was I finally installed Hermes. I got it all wrong.
I think that was
correct?
the one. Yes. Yep.
June 22nd.
Yep.
Yes, Trav, I did saw this and I did forgot to congratulate to say congratulations, Trav, because this is amazing. Now it's like straight to the point. I can see the value. This is the first one that I read from top to bottom. Not
Amazing.
deeply, but like at least now I'm getting to that point. So good work.
Excellent. So if you guys want a fast, value-packed read, definitely check out Growth Bites, our newsletter on Beehive. Shout out Beehive here. And yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Quantic, thank you very much, my friend. Been a pleasure as always. To all of you guys, appreciate every single one of you. And we will see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
See ya.